Welcome to the Motley Croc Show. It's June 12th, 2025. I'm sitting here with the Manic Satanic Jeff. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, y'all?
We've been having a storm, bud.
Yeah, most of it missed us, but I think it's on the way up here.
Well,
that's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it came and went today, like throughout the day, and then I went to log in earlier, and then my Wi-Fi was acting up. I'm like, "What's going on with my fucking? Are you serious?" And then it was on. Like I guess it rebooted in the system, and then it wouldn't grab back on the computer. It's always
Wi-Fi around here gets fucked up during storm season. Hurricane season starting early, man.
Well, that sounds exciting. Thanks for bringing that ray of sunshine to things.
I
saw that.
Got into existence. I'm going to be spending the summer up north, so I'm kind of excited about that. You know, instead of the ninth ring of hell.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to be as far up north pretty much as I can get.
Well, so that'll be pretty good, though, huh?
What's that?
That'll be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a good contract, man. It's great money, and I'll be Ruby's up there in the same town. So, hey, Judy.
Yeah, we're still waiting on Brittany. I don't know where she's at. I hope she's putting on her face.
I'll be chilling with Ruby up there, which is cool.
Yeah.
My other girls look pretty close. My mom.
Oh, so get everybody up there. Good.
Yeah, it'll be a good time, man. I'm excited, and do some herping up there and find some cool snakes that I can't find down here.
What's up? Yeah, I was talking to Brittany about it. She had some pretty cool stuff she wanted to talk about. Wait till she gets here, but
cool.
There's this place that they she's trying to boot her computer. They say she is booting the computer, folks. Brittany is coming, but she's going to be here shortly. She's booting the computer. Yeah, we've just been doing a lot of catch up stuff around here too. Man, it's always you have animals do this and that, or you got to get a pen going, or they outgrow something, or it's always like refurbing. And the sun has been just absolutely outrageous. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, but it seems like someone turned it up a little, man. That's all I'm
telling you. It just I've been pretty much homebound for the last 4 days working on the floors and stuff, and I'll step outside to go get the mail or whatever. Today I got a big box of rodents, and I went outside to grab it. I was like, motherfucker!
I know.
What
is that? I know.
I feel like I'm fucking like up in Satan's asshole. That's all hot it is,
bro. That's exactly what it's like. And I've been here. Florida's like my state, man. Like, and I just don't remember. I remember it being hot. And like, damn, it's hot out. But this is just.
Last summer was like that too.
Yeah,
last summer was brutal. That's what got me traveling. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here for summer.
I'm telling you. We'll bring. Let's see here. We got someone knocking there. Here we go. Boop. We have Brittany. What's up, B? Hey, I was gonna say that we were talking about the sun. It's just so I don't like. I know what hot is, but this part of the sun doesn't come till July.
Yeah.
Not even or August.
Hey, Rosemary.
Yep.
Hey, Rosemary, how are you? And I just think that it just seems a lot hotter to me. I just don't understand what's going on with it.
I agree. Today, even it felt like it was super close to my skin, more than it's ever felt at this time.
It was oppressive today. Hey, and it just like it's like walking out and walking into a wall of water, walking out your front door.
Yeah,
like, even being inside, my AC's struggling. It's like 2 or 3 degrees hotter than it's supposed to be, and like working on the floors and stuff. I probably changed my shirt 14 times today. I'm like, I can't. Every time I take a break, I can't sit around in a sweaty shirt in the air conditioning.
I find that in my house if I keep a couple of fans on the floor, circulating air up and keep it moving, around. It stays cooler faster than one of my AC just itself tries to just,
Yeah.
So I got a couple proportion area and they kind of blow across the floor and it just keeps it moving. Yes. And then it's like, it helps a lot because
that's like my bedroom.
I'm with you, man. It's just
like 3 or 4 degrees hotter. The AC in there doesn't work really well for some odd reason, and I got to get somebody out to look at it before it gets any hotter.
Started hitting the 90s in like the 1st of May. Which is insane.
Yeah, it was. And I check me if I'm wrong on this because you guys live your whole life. But when I used to come down as a kid, especially on the East Coast, I could remember it being so hot, but in the mid 80s, and it never really got above like 87, 88 degrees, but it was still hot as fuck.
Yeah, because if you come from like and when if you move out west and you come back down here, the humidity makes just a drastic difference.
Arizona,
88 degrees in Arizona is way better than 88 degrees here.
I love the dry weather in Arizona, but now there's so many man-made lakes and stuff. Hey, Julie. There's so many man-made lakes and stuff there that it's starting to get humid like it is down here, so it's almost not worth it.
Yeah, it's like it's weird, but here is just so much. It's like I don't know. They're like, it's it's 97, but it feels like 104.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not kidding. Yeah,
and it's the animals, dude. It's the animals that we can kind of get out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I have backup AC units like if I want to cool off, I keep them in the windows and stuff in like my studio, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I have them in the garage. I have like a big portable AC, and yeah, it's just needed, man. It's like this is definitely a unique podcast talking about how hot Florida is.
It is definitely. Well, we got to start it up. We got people in. I wanted to talk with
y'all.
Because she said, what's up, Cody? Yes, it was, and he was out there with me today, and it was hot as hell, for sure. Yeah. You said that there was a place, and I don't know what it was, and I want you to talk about it, Brittany, because that'd be really cool. Hey, Tara, what's up?
Sure.
That there were phone calls. There's no landlines left at this place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just leading you into it so you can talk about it. So there's no landlines left, but there's still like EMT is still receiving calls or dispatch still. I mean, how's that?
Yeah, I went down this rabbit hole because there's an audio that's out there on YouTube that you can listen to that they released of a dispatcher receiving a call from what used to be an old funeral home that no longer even has like an actual landline there. And it was audible voices coming through to the dispatcher, but they weren't responsive. Like they were very airy and whisper like, and she kept
they were Aryan. They were Aryan,
not Aryan, like air. Like
I was like, what is that?
Exactly.
Not Aryan, no, like more with a lot of breath
Aryan
or whatever.
Ghost.
And so apparently, like, yeah. Well, after I listened to this, I was like, is this a thing? So then I started looking into it, and it is. So there's morgues, there's old abandoned buildings, there's old abandoned like establishments, homes. Like this happens so much so that dispatchers and people that receive these emergency calls have started their own group chats, like to talk about the weird calls that they've received and talk about these strange happenings. And one of them was investigated in New Mexico because it came from an abandoned home in 2006. And they got there, but the weirdest part is there was no actual landline still in the house. But this house has reportedly continued to keep calling from inside the house. Yet when they did the investigation, there's no actual like phone attached to a landline still. Like it's not connected like at all. So the fact that this house is still calling the local dispatch, it didn't happen once, like it happened multiple times. They don't understand why, because the local police department actually went to go and investigate it to see if maybe there was like a looter or a squatter, somebody in the house that was like just in the abandoned house screwing around trying to see if they could take stuff, film something, do something. But there's no phone to make a call from the line that's still attached to the house. Like
was there
the wire is cut.
Reese's Pieces around because you can.
I know, right?
That, I heard.
Like ET.
Exactly.
Like apparently that house, like even the rats had gotten to some of the wiring. So that was like one of those unsolved mysteries to date that they just don't have an explanation for. But apparently this happens a lot. And like sometimes the dispatchers will be like, you don't understand, like we have recordings of whispers from abandoned places, and we know we dispatch and there's nobody there, and there's not even like a landline. So they can't. How are we getting these calls, and where are they coming from?
I'll have to ask my girlfriend because she used to be a 911 operator for a little while.
It's weird. Calls. Yeah, I mean, it's like aside from like the weird living calls they get, they have to deal with like abandoned ghostly calls. It's so
no pickles on my cheeseburger and
weird. Yeah,
it is cool. It's cool, Ange. I like to look at the other side of it. There's going to be people out there that are going to be like, well, it's this and that, and it's the ghost of Blackbeard or whatever. But
it could be,
there could be something very logical. Yeah,
exactly.
Like you can hear somebody else on your phone.
Yeah, it even happens on a cell phone. That's weird. Yeah.
You could pick up other people's calls. Remember party lines? You ever have
100%?
We had a party line at the house.
Party lines are the worst. I'm on here. You got to wait.
It is and it isn't.
3 times.
It is and it isn't. Like when we grew up on the mountain, we could pick up and hear our neighbors. So if we want to know what our neighbors are talking about, remember Troy in Colorado?
There's no privacy on a party line. Absolutely.
I think everybody had them when
Hello?
Yeah, when we were much long time ago. That was definitely an 80s thing.
Oh, without a doubt, maybe like 70s, 80s.
It is. It's the heat. That's right, Craig. 100%.
You know,
I mean, it's a fascinating thing because we may never have an answer to why this happens, but I'm more where it really hits me where I can't explain it away with my analytical side is when they actually go to the building and there's no landline or attachment to the phone to be able to even make a call to know to call 911. So for me, I think that's strange. Well, no, it's like, I mean, these in most of these cases, like if you look up the cases, even some of these abandoned buildings, like no one's been in these buildings for years, but yet they're still continuing to get direct calls from what would have been like either the main office or the basement, or like, it's just bizarre. Cause it's like, is it a bending of time? Is it just residual calls that are just calling in a weird loop? Like if it's not scientifically able to be explained, like how else could we look at it from a supernatural? You know what I mean? Because it's so weird. It's a rabbit hole. It's fun, but it's
I love a good rabbit hole.
What? This is the thing? Like what?
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard of it. I just remember like getting lines crossed and stuff, or picking up people's baby monitors, stuff like that. Because I
want to hear about that too, baby. Didn't you have a story about a baby monitor too, Brittany?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
okay. Yeah.
Let's wait for that.
I've heard some creepy especially video baby monitors.
You're right. I've seen some weird stuff too.
I've never had one because there's no way I want my baby like floating or sprouting horns and eating the cat or whatever. No way. Ignorance is bliss, man.
I actually agree. Couldn't agree more.
I think Troy remembers the time because I told him this, that one night I woke up and this was in my old house and it was perfect shadowing, but and this is when Finn was like heavily into Enigma. And like, so I wake up in the middle of the night because I heard sound. Yeah. Like he still is obsessed, but I look at Enigma. I look at the bed and I'm like, oh my God, what is that? And I wake John up and I kid you not, it looks like a monk kneeling at his bed, like next to his bed. And I wake John up and I'm like, there's somebody at that bed. And I'm like, where's the holy water? Like I'm heading in, like I'm gonna go exactly.
The power of Christ compels you.
Oh man, Craig, it's so funny that you say that because Craig said that he remembers people getting calls from the dead relatives. Listen,
yes, and that's still a thing too.
My there was landlines, and I was in the kitchen. My mom was there, and my grandfather, his brother just passed away. My Uncle Donald, he died, and we were in the kitchen, and the phone rings, and my grandfather picked it up, and I was like standing here by the fridge, because I don't know what I was doing. And he's like, "Hello," and then he got real quiet, and he stood there, and then he hung the phone up, and he looks back and he goes, "I just got a phone call from my brother. Told me everything was okay." I'm like, "What the hell?" So when you said that, Craig, you just rung a bell. I so remember that.
That's
stuff.
Crazy.
And then people are doing that a lot. That's weird, Jeff.
That is weird. I had about 6 months after my dad passed. I was living in Arizona. I was out there, and I get this call on my cell phone. It says "Dad," and now I'm just, my heart's pounding. I'm like, do I pick it up? It was my mom. She had lost her phone and found my dad's phone and called me on it. I was like, don't do that to me again, because you gave me a mini heart attack.
Yeah, 6 months later, Dad's calling.
Months.
Dude.
He's like, "Oh, I forgot to check. Did I leave the stove on?" I don't know. What is he going to say to me after 6 months?
That still happens, though. Craig brought up a good point. Like, that's part of that rabbit hole of these abandoned calls. It still happens to date. And it seems to happen even more and more with the digital now that we have all these smartphones. Like, it's so freaking weird.
Well, it's not.
Smartphones make us dumb.
It's true, but, if you think about how stuff works, I mean, like, if everything we pretty much do is energy. I mean, it takes energy. We burn energy. We have to consume to make energy. So if you're on a different wavelength, right? I mean, and you can communicate that way. That's really the only frequency that you can use to get. Listen, now this is just a theory. Everybody be like, "Oh, you're fucking weird." I'm just saying that the sky's the limit when it comes to theories, but we understand how energy 100%. Works. So imagine, I remember my grandparents talking about the little diamond radios. Remember those little?
The little crystal radio sets?
Yeah, crystal radios.
I used to know them when I was a kid, but with the one little white little
yes
thing.
So here you are, I remember my grandmother's brother, Uncle Irvin, talking about how he made one when he was a kid. Now, when he was a kid, we're talking the late 1930s and 40s, right around it, because they were born in the 20s. So as a kid, let's just say he was probably born a little bit after my grandmother, so he was a little younger, so maybe 1925. Okay, I'm not sure. So by 1935, he's 10 years old, 1935, and you're making a thing, and you're picking up radio signal and stuff.
Yep.
I mean,
it's crazy that
it's to think about that, Jeff.
Yes, it's nuts, man. Like wireless communication is so crazy because somebody says a word halfway around the world and you hear it instantaneously.
Yes,
because your antenna happened to pick up that wave. It's just nuts, man. It's like.
So imagine back then. Imagine if we time travel and we went back with an iPhone. It's going to work. It's not going to make a phone call, but anything that was on that phone that you jump back with is going to be there unless it hasn't happened in history yet, right? So you're not maybe you won't see these pictures or whatever of that. Like say you screenshot a picture of the towers, for example. There's going to be the phone's going to work. You're going to be able to take pictures in that time and show it back to them, right? Or we're able to take everything back that we have on the phone and go, look, this was the towers. This is what happens in World War I. This was World War II. This is World War III. That kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, imagine what they would do. Like, I think you'd be killed.
You know what we should do?
Probably.
Get a bunch of teenagers and put a rotary dial phone in the middle of the table and be like, if you could dial my number, I'll give you $50.
That'd be a great show.
I like when you see those ads on a side note and it's like cassette tape and a pencil and they're like, if you know why these two make sense, you're that old. I'm like, shit, I'm that old. Yeah, where you stick it in, you're like, I gotta get my cassette tape. Hey, listen, that's how I listen to Vanilla Ice hit single. Come on now.
Right? Oh, I remember my mom used to have an 8-track player in her car.
Oh, those were awesome. And you know what sucked about an 8-track? Merlin, I'm going to touch base on what you said. Radio Shack. Just the fact that you used the word Radio Shack.
Yeah, I used to love Radio Shack.
That's aged you.
Miss Radio Shack.
I was a little electronics nerd back in the day.
But with that being said, the worst part about 8-tracks was when you would skip the song, it would jump to the middle of the song that you went to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It never was like a cassette where you could rewind. When Coraline was a baby, I just woke up out of a dead sleep and looked at the monitor, and I swear to God, there was a woman standing over her crib. It freaked me out. I called my mom, and it was like 3 a.m. You see, you're picking up a frequency. Like I said, it could have been the right frequency. Like right now, if I turn on, I have these radios that I use on the property here. I can switch the channels, and I can be sitting here, and I hear a guy like, 10-1-10, I'm gonna get off exit 14 and drop the load. I'm like, damn, that's cool. It's just they're talking and you're picking it up. And I got the train track DAX or whatever it is, whatever that stuff, DAX or what, I don't remember what it is. And they're talking back and forth about the train station. They're going to be pulling into Tampa, and then they're going to pull 6 cars. And I'm like, this is just cool. But if you think about to us, like what we're doing right now, we're broadcasting. But man, even when in the 80s. When they had cool shit like iPhones on, like, the movies and stuff, because they did. There'd be an 80s movie and they're like scanning. They're like, look at this. Oh my God, right here. We've got to go to this galaxy or
Time Cop.
Or a halogen, Princess Leia. Help us, your only hope.
That's true.
You're like, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
But now we're like, yeah, it's fucking garbage, dude, compared to what now.
Oh, right?
But
I'm telling you.
But I did, Jeff, I won't spoil it, but I did go see the last 007, or not 007, Mission Impossible. And it was fucking, listen, bro, you better smoke before you go, because that is on the edge. That guy, and first of all, people talk shit about Tom Cruise all they want, but some of the stunts that he did,
he does some great shit, man.
The shit that he does in that fucking show, Jeff, is hands down. I would never. I don't care how much you offered. I would never do it. Never.
I still like what is it called? MI3. It was John Woo directed it, and it was fucking off the hook. It was my favorite one out of all of them. I love him.
Yeah, they were all excellent. I can't think that MI3 was great, but please, for the love of God, see the closing chapter.
I will.
It's all about, it kind of picks up from the last one. So if you watch the last one, all the way down to the storyline, they picked it up pretty good. I remember it. And then it's all about basically like AI and how
I have to rewatch all of them. I'll have to marathon that shit one day with little.
Yeah, it would be cool because it was, you're like, oh my God. No way that's going wrong. No way. But just the stuff he's really doing, jumping out of an airplane 9 times with his parachute on fire so he can get the right clip. or the right cut. Listen, this guy's jumping out of an airplane 9 times just to get it right, to burn up his parachute and drop some more. Like, not a stunt guy. He's doing it. That's just to me, and that's an actor doing that. You know what I mean? It's like,
or like
Jackie
when he held on to the side
he
of
did
the
all
plane.
of this shit too. Jackie Chan. He fucking flipped out.
Oh yeah, he was a badass man. I like some of the older movies, like Operation Condor and stuff like that. Yeah. Stuff was killer, man. When he went down the hill in that big bubble ball thing, I want to do that. I'm dying to do that shit, man.
That's gonna jar your brains up a little bit.
Oh, for sure. I'm too old for that shit. I'd have to lay down for like 20 minutes.
I'd be fainted by the time I got to the bottom. I'd be out. I'd be out. But I can tell you that it's like today, what we're seeing, like, oh, this is cool. If we went back to that time, it just blows us away.
Oh, man.
There was stuff about artificial intelligence when we were kids. Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Total Recall is great, man.
The Terminator. That was another one that they're talking about
off the hook.
Yeah,
Liquid Metal and Robert Patrick.
And here we are. They're coming back, and you're like, that could happen.
Yeah, Boston Robotics will have Terminators sometime here in the near future.
We have Starlink. There's Skynet, right? Wasn't it? Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet.
So there's satellites with Skynet, and the satellites we have now is Starlink. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah, no doubt. It's gonna become self-aware.
I'm not sure if I like this. Apparently, some of them have, and that's kind of scary.
There's too much stuff that gets out of control, and really what it comes down to is the wrong people. But I can tell you that as of now, like those AI chatbots and stuff, they're very, I push the envelope with them sometimes, so it's not very free. Like, you can't feel a certain way, or
right.
It's still leaning towards like to keep everybody happy kind of bullshit, and sometimes it's like annoying. So until it completely takes over, there's to me there's
probably sooner than later. Unfortunately, I'd like to
not cool.
I'd like to show my support for our robot overlords for now. Just so you know, I'm down.
Yes.
Do your thing. Don't fry us yet. Can you let us die when that happens?
That was like that. Already. It was like the meme that was like, I've already started thanking my Alexa and Siri, telling them thank you so much for everything you do, so that when they take over, they know I'm on their side.
Dude, the very first movie I can ever think of,
like, good Lord,
where machines started taking over was Maximum Overdrive.
I love that fucking movie, dude.
I know, but that was the first fucking thing where you're like,
that's a fucking good movie, man.
The machines are taking over. Yeah.
Every time I like pass that on TV, I have to stop and watch it, dude. I can't.
Bro, I gotta tell you, look up that. Remember that green goblin face that was on the front of that truck?
On the truck, the toy truck.
The guy found it. If you look on YouTube, the guy actually found it completely obliterated and just fucking destroyed. And he rebuilt it and rammed it and put it back on a truck. And the guy actually bought it. There's a collector. He bought it from the movie and he revamped it. And he takes it to fucking like Comic-Cons and shit like that. But it's real. I'm buying a robot lawnmower. Check out Yarbo more on YouTube.
Make sure you're nice to it, Merlin.
Yeah, or it's going to be like Who Made Who,
right? Telling you. Oh, Westworld. Westworld was one of my favorites growing up, Julie. Westworld and Future World both.
Westworld was really good.
They made a series, a new series on Showtime
for Westworld. Yeah,
It was great. It was really good.
It was Showtime.
I think it was Showtime.
That's right. It does, Craig. I know. I think that, this guy, this Zuckerberg bitch ass, whatever his fucking deal is, if somebody wants to go out and talk about whatever they want on Facebook, they should be fucking allowed.
Damn right. Buddy.
Hey, Finn, what's up, guy? They should be allowed to do that. Like, it doesn't matter how offensive it is on either side. That's what I don't like. Like, you can find stuff that will offend one of us, but I don't care. That's somebody's opinion. Like, oh, you're an animal person and, you just abuse animals and you fucking, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, that's your right to feel like that. Brittany's already zoning out. Get AI out of your head, Brittany. You're zoning.
I'm not. No, I have something I was going to share with this.
Well, hold on to it then. So when I think about it, it's like, God, you put something up. Yeah, you should turn them off in the groups. Merlin said you can turn them off. Rosemary's Soylent Green, way out there for its time. Yeah.
Yep.
Look at you coming up with the crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah. Soylent Green.
And then you can't talk about it because there's like movies that you want to talk about, or you'll type about something in a movie and they catch a word you say. Yeah. And they're like, I'm like, you don't understand. That was from this. or that was a quote from this movie, or that was a quote. You can't just, there's some really good sayings in movies that offend somebody. They get a little butthurt about it, and then they go cry. I'm offended. Hey, let me tell you something. You need to go figure out your life. If somebody says something or recites a movie and you're offended, you need to fuck off.
Yeah.
Or you can dine on some lead. You can dine on some lead and do the whole world a favor. That's what you can do.
You know when you're about to hear some offensive shit, when somebody goes, "No offense."
Yeah. But even that, Jeff, like if somebody wants to do whatever out there, don't look at it.
Say it.
Right? Because
don't warm me up.
Facebook is not stuck on you. You can be like, look, I don't like what Jeff or Troy's saying. I'm just going to turn it off. Don't fucking come on the Croc show because I said something and then turn around and get offended over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just watched that Merlin not too long ago. It's when I was growing up.
That is hilarious, but could never air today.
Oh,
like how did that not get flagged during the cancel?
Which one, Westworld or Blazing Saddles?
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles just came out in the movie theater again about a month or two ago.
Like an anniversary or whatever.
I grew up watching that. It was the only Betamax tape that we had in the house. Somebody had taped Blazing Saddles. So I probably watched
Betamax. Listen to you, Betamax, man.
Yep, awesome. Betamax, man. I'm dating myself there.
Good old Beta. They were smaller too. Wasn't that cool how the Betas were smaller tape? You know what? They tried to come out and be cool. And they come out with laser discs.
They were like this big.
Oh my god!
You have this platinum silver album you put in. You're like, whoa.
Laser.
I saw one the other day. I saw one. I want to say it was Rambo: First Blood on laser disc. I saw it in an antique shop, and it was up in this movie section. Rambo: First Blood, laser disc. Looks like a giant CD, like a 12 or 13 inch.
Yeah,
CD.
that's what it looks like, a big ass CD.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
And I remember when the technology came out that we could burn CDs. It was like the fucking greatest thing
ever.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
There was a genius out there that did Napster.
Napster, dude. I used to use LimeWire.
I remember LimeWire.
And what was the other one I used to use too?
I remember LimeWire. If you didn't have an Apple though, and you were doing it on Microsoft, sometimes you'd get a.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt, it was rife
People
with
would poison that shit.
Yep,
that's how one of my old computers got corrupt. Was trying to get songs like that off of a website. My computer got hit.
Yeah. So when they start coming out with Amazon Music or Apple Music, and you can just get whatever you want and buy it. I just pay a
I have Apple Music for the family.
Yeah.
$16 a month.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
I'm a real big music nut though, man.
Too.
When it comes to, I like music is like fentanyl to me.
Oh,
for real,
love it, man. It takes me away from the world.
And you know what? If you're trying to use it, I think I told Troy this shortcut because I get really annoyed.
Yeah.
I have certain songs that I want to use so bad on my social, but because like we're in the US, this song isn't approved, but it's approved in the UK or whatever. So I'll literally go to YouTube and I'll copy this, I'll download the video, like the music video, and then I extract it and put it to my videos because I'm like, no, you're not going to stop me from using a song.
I'm too lazy for that shit.
Because Instagram's saying I can't use it in the US. No way.
Some of the music that I have already purchased, I can play but can't share because I took it away. That pisses me off.
Yeah.
On my Facebook business account for Hardcore Hognose, I had to change it to personal because on the business accounts you get this really limited amount of songs. It's the songs they want you to use, but as soon as you go to a personal account, you can do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's some music where the patent isn't allowed in the United States. For example,
yes,
you can look this up, guys.
Like
there's a song called Bigfoot by Ice Cube, and it is badass. And you can see it on.
Yeah, you played it for me.
Call me King Kong Gorilla.
It's awesome.
I bought it on Apple. I bought it on Apple, and then I went back to play it. I can't play it anymore. You're not allowed to play this in your country. I don't know. Because
you played it for me.
I played it on YouTube because something with the licensing between Apple and whatever label he was on or whatever he did, they can't get it together. So it's like, it's just
they have so much fucking money. They should just make everything open source. Be like, I've got enough billions right now, and
yeah,
take all the label
like, exactly. And so
they can't spend that in 15 lifetimes.
I'm just a music nut, Jeff.
Anything
music to me is just I listen intricate. I just love it, dude. And so that's where I use all my media. I spend all my money on that. I have Sirius XM. So when I get in my car, I can listen to fucking 80s rock, 70s easy. I can do whatever I want.
Oh yeah, they have.
Then when I'm walking around, I got Apple. I love it everywhere.
Do you listen to the last podcast channel on there at all?
I haven't listened to it on there, but I listen to it on my it's on Apple.
Apple, yeah.
Well, you told me about a couple of those.
I was going to say something, but you seemed like you had a revelation, so I wanted to make sure I got.
No, go ahead.
It was another thing that I went down a rabbit hole on. So, okay, so I guess they're making a movie about Tupac, where they're making something regarding Tupac, and there's a kid that's playing Tupac who looks
like Tupac,
just like Tupac. So went down a rabbit hole on this. His mom and his dad, allegedly, according to him, knew and worked with Tupac.
I bet his mom was really close with her. If he looks
that's what people are questioning, because like when I tell you this kid, and like it was so stunning, like I thought they AI'd him. They didn't. Like so that now they're like, dude, do you know where your mom was? How friendly were her and Tupac at that time? Or Tupac's alive and you know it, and he's your real dad and you're not telling anybody. So it's really weird. And I'm telling you to go down, like, because we were talking about music and Tupac.
Well, you got to remember, there's a couple of things.
His name is Tupac.
I don't know what his name is.
You would have some cool shit. There was like the very first video of Prince. They found it in an archive by accident on a news broadcast channel. And he was like 7 years old, talking about, politics in his area where he lived. Right. So you got, what's up, Noah?
What's up, Noah?
We've been on for a few.
We've been on about 30 minutes.
Good to have you.
So they found him, and then Tupac wasn't really a gangster like Eazy-E. Like Dr. Dre was never a gangster either. Eazy-E was a straight thug, and he knew it. That's where he came from. He was a street guy.
Descent, fucking
right. Snoop Dogg. All those guys were a little bit different. They were found. They were just in the urban areas making rap, selling, slinging dope, whatever. That's what they did, right?
Yep.
You got it, Noah. But then they find these videos of Tupac when he was, 14, 13, and he was extremely intelligent. And he was doing these class speeches, and he was doing this. They were interviewing him as a young kid talking, and he wasn't a thug. So he took his music, his music level up a notch, and he rapped about stuff that was going on. But the reason I'm saying this is because I don't know if it necessarily went on in Tupac's life necessarily. I'm not saying it did or didn't, but Ice Cube just came out and he was doing an interview, and he was saying, we didn't even write this and that song. This was written by this person at this label company, and they said, you're singing this. This is what you're putting out. And he said what they were doing was creating a diverse or separatism, or whatever he was calling it, so that people started hating each other. But he said it would make the white community buy the albums just because they don't know, and it would make the black community feel like they had something to come out to. I watched him do this whole thing, and he's like, some of that stuff we wanted to rap about, we didn't. It didn't make the mainstream. One of the best things, I'll get to what he said, which I thought was cool. One of the mainstream things, but some of the songs that sold the most was like "Fuck the Police," right? That's gonna catch me now as a bot. It's the song "Fuck the Police" by NWA. Right, and we all know what NWA is. That was done on purpose. And I think
I forgot what it is, Trey. Would you tell me?
He was very I have to. We'll let somebody here say it.
Brittany,
I have to say they knew what they were doing when they were creating that type of diversity. And then when that stopped working, then they created a tension between the members. And then it went on and on and on and on. And so, but one of the things he said was it was a great thing because they found a way to double their money. They would create an explicit version.
Yep.
And they would create a clean version. Everybody bought the explicit version, but all the parents would buy the clean version for the kids.
Police.
Double selling the same album. They would take that song right off. And then so Ice-T gets involved with a metal band called Body Count. He writes a song called Cop Killer.
Great song.
Right? He wrote a song called Cop Killer. What do you want to be? And I remember all this stuff. I'm like, wow. But when they get down to it and they talk about it now, they're like, it was the record labels. It was the think stations and the record labels creating what you see now on social media. They were doing with music. 100 million %.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the best
because
way
to they knew because of rock and roll, heavy metal, and all that would cause to separate people and cause segregation amongst parents and kids, they knew that. Oh, it's rock and roll. It's edgy. Push back. Grease your hair. Grow your bangs over your eyes. Tell your dad to fuck off. Listen to Elvis. Like listening to Elvis was not
Elvis.
Yeah, Elvis was great. Exactly. But it was listening to Elvis was not like a rebellious thing to do, in my opinion. So
yeah, definitely listening.
That was at a different time, though.
Doesn't matter. He didn't say anything offensive. The people who were trying to ban him were stupid. This rock
it was just because of how he moved. It was because he moved and did things
motherfucker.
different.
What can you say?
To take marijuana drugs and have sex. I like watching this. This is making our teenagers act out. Elvis.
Yep.
And I think you're a fucking
good
idiot.
Kids, bad ideas.
What do these guys do? The same guys that were in there talking about Elvis were still home slapping their wife around because they got a little fucking pizza sauce on the table. You know what I'm saying? Same fucking people. So it's interesting to me how things have changed, but now they use social media to do the same thing what they were doing to me in Jeff's era in that decade with music, right? Because I loved heavy metal, but then you have heavy metal like they would write things like if you sit down and listen, Tom Araya and Slayer, that's probably one of my favorite bands. Is my favorite band, Slayer.
South of Heaven, man.
I love Slayer, right? I love that album. I love that song is amazing.
And Heavyweights, both good.
But Tom Araya is actually he follows the Christian faith. That's what he does. But what he wrote about was his ideology of it and what he thought. So when they did the song Angel of Death, that song was about Auschwitz. Okay? They tried to pin him for that. But what I thought was great is they used that song in Gremlins 2 when that spider gremlin came down, like, Angel of Death, and that spider comes creeping down the hall. But then they tried to accuse him of being a racist because they wrote about Auschwitz. He just wrote about what was done at Auschwitz.
Right.
To verbalize it. Not that he condoned it. He said, the only reason we didn't wear makeup and the only reason that we didn't do what everybody else was doing is because we wanted to be a darker band and stick with that brand. We just didn't want to jump on the wagon and wear makeup. And to this day, they're going to come back and perform. Ozzy's going on to perform one more time. Julie sent it to me.
I saw that too.
And Slayer's going to be there. So
wow.
Somebody, they kicked some band off. Some band got kicked off. I don't remember what it was. Ozzy won't let him play. I forget who it is now, but they kicked it off. Yeah, that's right. No, that's a good point. I think the backlash against Elvis is partially due to sex, partially due to race dance and how to white men. Yep.
Well, they thought
a lot of people said that Elvis stole music from the blacks.
And they say that all the time.
But I mean, he never really did. He really loved that soul music and that he loved that was his.
He grew up in it.
I don't think there was no footage of him ever being a racist or saying anything racist or saying anything evil towards any other thing. Or man, he messed with women a lot. I mean, we definitely know he was getting it down, man. He wasn't a stand-up guy you'd want to be married to, but he was a cool dude all the way around. Everybody's got a fault.
Yeah.
But he never did anything racist. He grew up in that area. He grew up in a poor area, and that's where he came from. So he just went on to perform, and they pushed him so hard they killed him, just like pretty much everybody else. Like, look at everybody fucking with Prince. I think Prince was so smart. I think Prince was so intelligent. Yeah, and talented that, Jeff, the stuff he would do would piss people off enough to wake them up. Like, he was talking about cloud seeding back in the early 2000s, late 90s. We weren't even thinking about cloud seeding at that time.
Yeah.
He talked about it. You can look it up. Prince on cloud seeding. He went on a national, like Johnny Carson or whatever, or not Johnny Carson. What's his name? The guy who collects the cars, Jay Leno. He was talking to him or something. He's like, yeah, they're spraying this bullshit up in the sky, guys. And you really have to, when we were kids, there wasn't no such thing as a tubular cloud. I understand when the jets go by, but some of these clouds, we know they're seeding. It controls humidity. It's not, they don't hide it anymore. You can look up what cloud seeding is now, to where some governors of some states have made it illegal. So we know it's not a joke. We know they're doing it. We don't know what they're putting in it, but we know they do it. But he was talking about it when nobody else was doing it. So he ends up getting killed. People don't understand how Michael Jackson was so much against the Illuminati that every video he started with, it was demeaning to him. Like, you would see him like rip his shirt, water would splash, he'd stomp 4 times on a car, a Black Panther would walk by, he'd kick out a window, then the music would start, and you're like, what was he doing? He was using visualization to tell you something, almost like code. And so I found it interesting that if you look at his videos, look at him, he would do that. There's always some sort of something in his video that was against that. They always wanted his music, right? Let's get into this, because when George Michael finally got his music back from Wham, he died pretty quick. I'm not saying that he didn't assist it by doing drugs. And then there was something going on with Prince, and I'm not going to quote it because I'm not sure, but he would not release his music over, and then he drops dead. Same kind of drugs that killed Michael Jackson. And I was up at a tattoo station. We were at the tattoo shop, and one of the tattoo guys goes, "Hey, man, I want to give you something to think about." Right? Cool guy, really into anime, big black dude. He goes, "Don't you think it's funny when Bill Cosby bought a network? A week later, a comedian goes out and says he was spiking drinks."
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, well, we can't have Bill Cosby doing that. Fuck that. And he was going against things that people didn't like, and then they destroyed him. No, I'm not saying that he didn't.
I'm pretty sure Bill Cosby might have done it. There was a lot.
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying that he did or didn't, but just think about how fast he gets an entire network. He purchases it.
Yep.
A week later, a comedian at some small comic warehouse talks about him doing that. A comedian. Not someone. A girl didn't come forward. None of that. It was a comedian that said, "What about that Bill Cosby putting the drop in there?" And it stuck. It went viral, and it started going around. Then all of a sudden, people were coming forward, just like they tried to do to Steven Tyler and Marilyn Manson, and then they all figured out it was bullshit, and they dropped it. Right? They found out, like what Jeff talked about, the guy had one testicle, but nobody could say that he had one testicle because they didn't know they were lying. So there was a lot of that going on at that time because it's a money grab.
Oh, everything's a fucking money grab.
Bill Cosby's pound cake speech was also quite controversial. Look it up if you aren't familiar with that. I will, Noah. That's a great thing. He said that to me, and I go, you know what? I just listened to this dude. He's like, I'm not saying he didn't do anything, but look how every time someone gets control of something away from a large organization or a large group, they have a tendency to like off themselves or end up lying.
When it comes to Prince, the weird thing for me is his last concert that he did before he got on the plane, where he had the episode and he had to be the plane had to be immediately grounded because they're like he was having like a heart attack basically in air on his jet. There's video from that concert, and at the very end of the concert, he starts telling the public stuff, and he goes, "I'm letting everyone know I'm sane. I am very healthy. So if something happens to me, you know why." And it was that night his plane is grounded with him having an alleged heart attack. And there's like, you can look at this video, and he's on the stage, and people were like, he literally died within 24 hours of being on stage at this concert.
Here, I'll give you another one. I'll give you another one that I still can't figure out. And it's not a controversy. I think it was done on purpose. We're going to go to Eazy-E for a minute. And for those of you that don't know who Eazy is, he's one of the baddest motherfuckers that ever walked the planet when it comes to rap. Anytime one of his songs comes on, I can punch holes through walls and crash cars through buildings. That fucking guy let it out. Baddest motherfucker. I'm going to tell you, he deserves way more props. And when they got the only thing that Gene Simmons' stupid ass did was he opposed the NWA being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was fucking dumb for him to go against that. They earned that right to be in there. They did a damn good job. Eazy-E's mom went up there and accepted it for him. But here, let me tell you what Eazy-E's name is Eric Wright. And at the time, Bush was president at the time. And he was putting a lot we're going to get into that. Yeah, listen to this. So there's an interview with his bandmates, which I'll get to. So he would give a lot of money back to his projects, a lot of money, and he was making a difference. However, he was a left wing. He was left wing at that time. When I say left and right, doesn't matter who you are, where you guys come from. There's left and right. That battle's always there, but he was very left wing. That's what he was. And he put a lot of money in. Well, they didn't know Eric Wright was Eazy-E. He got an invitation to the White House.
Oh my God.
He was invited to go. You can look it all up. Unless it was a Mandela effect and they've erased it. I used to have it all stored because I thought it was the coolest story ever.
I'm going to do it while you're telling the story. See if it's not. Let's see if it's didn't get
Go ahead. So he was invited to the White House, and then Bush Senior got a lot of criticism. How could you bring in, a person that's like a public menace that raps about beating women and selling drugs and rape? Okay.
Had lunch with Bush.
Yes. And Eazy-E had a cough. He had a cough.
Yeah.
They took him to the hospital, Brittany, and within 7 days, he died of full-blown AIDS. No symptoms before. His children didn't have it. His wife didn't have it at the time. Any of the women that he supposedly slept with that came forth because they said he had AIDS, they were like, oh my God, they came forth. None of them had it. So it's like he went to the hospital and they fucking snuffed him out that quick. And I remember Dr. Dre saying, ain't nobody die of AIDS in 7 days without being in a terrible position. He just had a cough.
No.
He caught a cough somewhere between after he left there within the week. and died in 7 days of full-blown AIDS. Just died like Life Force, like the movie Life Force, sucked up and died. So they said there was a controversy that he was offed, that they offed him.
Oh my God.
And by giving him that amount, like injecting him with full-blown HIV. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but there were people that would take syringes, people that were angry they had AIDS, junkies, and they would put their blood, they would stick them in movie theaters and seats, and they would they were doing that. That wasn't a myth. That wasn't a thing. They were angry, and one guy got caught, and he spit on a woman on purpose, and I remember they put him in prison for attempted murder at the time because he was aware he was an HIV positive at the time, and people were doing that. So it's just funny that happened to him because he got into the White House and and they were like, how dare you let this person in here? His views are insane. He sings about rapping or beating women. I don't remember him doing that. He talks a lot about sex and drugs because that's what he came up with. But I didn't see him talk about beating them, but they did. There's a few albums on NWA. One Less Bitch to Worry About. That's a funny, fucking hilarious song to me. If you find it offensive, don't listen to it, but it's good. NWA all the way around. Eazy-E and all his albums, I will pump them all day long. I love it. So I just think that with that being said, yes, I think that once you get up into that media, like look at Chris Farley, that poor guy, man. He lives so wide open that you'd think that somebody would care enough to help him. They didn't. Yeah. They liked him to be wide open.
Man. All the good ones.
He made him money, Jeff. He made him money. He was so outrageous. He would run through walls. He was always so high. He was purple on the drugs he was using, cocaine. I mean, he was doing everything. Crystal meth. I mean, he was messing with everything. And I think I have them. But if you try to look up his death pictures and stuff, it's very hard to find them unless you get out there like on, what is that, Reddit or whatever. They used to be on Google, but they pulled all that down.
Right. Okay, what was it called? God damn it. Rotten.com. Remember that shit?
Yo, it's still around. But now you got to be. Really? Rotten.com still around, but you have to sign up, send your ID in, and you have to prove who you are and how old you are. They have to do like they do on a porn site. They have to see how you are and you're old enough, which is whatever. But I'm saying Rotten.com was. And another one's called, and remember documenting, and the website documentingreality.org. That was another one that was insane. Yeah. But that's my point. All that stuff goes on, and it's like they get too big.
Hey, Seth.
And hey, what's up, Seth? And you heard it when I was talking to Ricky Rocket. When we had Ricky Rocket on the show, and for those of you who don't know Ricky Rocket, if you tune in, Ricky Rocket's the drummer for Poison. Has been forever. It's never been changed. Same guy. Great dude, by the way. Called me the other day because he got a rattlesnake stuck in between his garage and his house. His wife FaceTimed me, and I told him how to get in the tub until the guy could get there. He was like, I got to make sure it's good. And, the snake guy's coming to get it. But I don't mess with these things, but I don't know how to handle it. It's okay. But when we first had him on the show, we were talking to him. And I said, I have to ask you this. Just to recap it. Remember I said, you had a cool album, which was Open Up and Say Ah, which I never knew was Bobby's girlfriend. They just painted to do an album cover because they needed a cool album cover because that's how it was back then. It wasn't this big, we got to send it into a think tank and 16 managers. They just like, here's the album cover. Is it okay? But he said, all these very, very Christian-based stores like Walmart and Kmart would not carry that. But they made up to 80% of their income from those stores because that's the only place you could buy. Remember the CD and collection that you go get at Walmart or Kmart, Jeff? Remember how big those areas were for CDs? Yep. So they had to do it where it was just green eyeballs and it said Open Up, Say Ah. So if you really wanted the other album, you had to go to FYE or you had to order it and they had to get it to the store and it had the special whatever that was with the long tongue, and it was like, but you had a special order and they charge you a little more. Limited. But he said we made all of the money and we had to reprint it, and they had to do the same thing for Flesh and Blood when they had the tattoo and there was blood running down, the same thing. So it just shows you that there's so much control there that I didn't think about. I'm like, why would they do that to this album? What the hell? Yeah. So they discontinued those now. So if you have the ones with the eyes, they're like a little more cool to have because you can't get them, because anytime you buy a new CD or you want to buy the vinyl, it's the original now because it doesn't offend anybody. It's just a chick with a long demon tongue and green eyes isn't offensive. And Poison wasn't even satanic. They got thrown in with Satanism in the 80s, and they didn't write a single song about any of that. Nothing violent, nothing abusive. No. They were either love ballads or they were like Nothing But a Good Time or Ride the Wind. I mean, they were just a fun band. It was like fun music. So they got lumped in. Def Leppard too. Amazing, talented band. Def Leppard. Well, they write with demonic lettering. So that's my point. Everybody controls everybody's creativity. Jeff.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree. I think that I mean, when it's not as bad now as it was.
No.
When coming up
now
in the 80s, they just, if I saw something with a parental warning on it, I was like, hell yeah, I'm buying that.
We have to have it. And they did that to us to make us rebel. Like, we're going to listen to what they look.
Damn right.
And listen, the N-word was used 2 times on the Appetite for Destruction album. Just so you know. No. 1 time on Appetite for Destruction, and the other one was on Use Your Illusion. The one where he goes, we have a failure to communicate. It's all in there. And then, the one he talks about, get out of my way. You have to listen to that song.
Mm-hmm.
He got away. He still performs that song.
That's crazy.
So I'm saying that was going on back then, and nobody was like being a big deal. Now that's such a big deal now. So if someone does that now, it's like, well, we got to burn their house down, get rid of everybody on the street. They said it and they weren't, whatever. And that to me is terrible. Words should not have that much power. I don't care what it did in the past. The F word is not a bad word. Calling somebody a demeaning name. You should be so intelligent that not everybody looks at anybody like that. And I know people are like, well, you're a white guy. It doesn't matter to you. That's not necessarily true. I'm pretty colorful myself. And I understand what being bigoted against is, because I grew up in an era where having long hair and tattoos, you were straight trash, garbage trash. You were no look any different than blacks, Mexicans, or whatever. They put everybody in this trash like, oh, because you're black, you're a piece of shit. Or you have tattoos, you're a piece of shit. Or, well, you've come this way and wear a nice button-up shirt. We'll let you come in with your tattoos and your little colored friend. That's how they used to be.
Yeah,
I'm serious. And so today we don't have the freedoms that we even had back then. And that bothers me. If you want to have, if you want to be if you're in a Hispanic organization, a black organization, and you want to hate every other race, that's your goddamn given right to do so if you feel necessary. If you are allowed to do that. Don't bring it to someone's house. Don't hurt someone. Don't do it out in front of children's school and be an asshole. If that's how you want to be, the people who want to congregate with you, congregate. And I just think that this banning of everybody's opinions is terrible to me.
Yep.
If I'm wrong, great.
I agree with you, man.
But banning people's opinions and their verbiage is wrong. I don't, because if I say they can't say that, then they can say I can't say something. And I don't want that. Yep. I want to know where everybody's coming from. I mean, it's that simple.
Well, we used to live in an era. Yeah, I mean, we used to live in an era where you could have.
I love that. No, I want to put that on a t-shirt.
Like conflicting opinions, but it wasn't to the point to where you like couldn't be friends, like to where it is now. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
And yes, no, I am talking. We were talking about that. Rosemary Prince was responsible for getting parental warnings on records and CDs due to his Purple Rain song, Darling Nikki. Yeah, it was really also, let's not forget Tipper Gore. But let me tell you what else, Jeff. Let's talk about a real gangster, John Denver.
Oh.
Did you see his role against the PMRC? Fucking, he was like, I don't understand who you think you are to ban someone's expression, freedom of speech, and freedom of talent. Who do you think you are? Watch John Denver talk to the tippers like that. Those fucking nut jobs.
Oh,
Dean Snyder showed up just like he did on We're Not Going to Take It. He walked in there like that.
Yep. What the fuck was that movie he did? God damn it.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I like to think that things have changed, but they really haven't. I feel like we're backsliding the other way. We're getting to a point now where people want to ban books and music.
Everything, and you should not do that. I agree
100%.
Or book comedians
should fucking die.
Yeah, comedians are really good, and they want to stop them. But I see it coming back.
It is
coming
back.
Tired of it. They're tired of it.
Strangeland. Thank you, Seth.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say, like, even through a lot of that.
Don't forget Blackie Lawless from Wasp.
Oh, dude, I had a fucking
that dude went at him too.
Blackie Lawless.
Isn't that awesome, dude?
Yeah, Wasp was
you just have to be there. You would have had to live it. You've had to see it. It was one of those things where you could not believe it. Now, if you lived in the Midwest, like in the center of the state, and they didn't even know what the fuck was going on. But hey, if you were up along any of the East Coast or any of the West Coast, you fucking goddamn knew what was going on with music. Because I remember going to Colorado, they're like, "Oh, have you heard this new song? It's by Slayer." I'm like, "That song's 1.5 years old. How's that a new song here?"
That is true.
Did they just get the shipment to Walmart, dude?
You remember when you can only get the good metal records through imports? You go to the import section of the fucking music store.
Yep.
And that's the first place I found Metallica. Kill 'Em All was a fucking import.
Yes,
dude.
And remember when they banned Garage Days?
Yep. And I used to play bass. So what was it called? Anesthesia.
Yes.
Was a fucking
On Kill 'Em All.
I love that shit, dude. That and anything by Les Claypool, I used to listen to constantly.
The Kill 'Em All album had Seek and Destroy.
Seek and Destroy. Yep.
And then they had that the call. Which one was the Call of Cthulhu? Is that on the Ride the Lightning?
That's right,
or is that, or is that actually on Kill 'Em All? The Call of Cthulhu.
No.
Maybe that's on.
I don't think it was on Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All only had a few songs on it when it first came out. It was an EP.
Yeah, it had the blood with the hammer.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Definitely one of the best. Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master Puppets.
After Injustice, I didn't listen to him anymore. I just really wasn't.
They definitely
Metallica Black.
They were brutal back in the day, man.
I remember Acid Bath. Those were all, and that goes into like all the what was it? Yeah, Police Academy. Everybody wants to ban everything. I was really pissed off when there were some certain organizations out there that were fake, and they took and banned everything. Like they just want to ban everything on both sides. It is ridiculous. Because
it is.
Yep, Seth said Ride the Lightning. Thank you, Seth. I thought it was. Now I have to tell you, Injustice for All was Metallica's most cleanest produced album. Period. But the sheer raw music from it, because Kill 'Em All was really good. That was garage sounding shit.
Yep.
But the clarity of Ride the Lightning and the Master of Puppets, hands down, was fucking amazing. Nobody was doing it at that time. Metallica will always and forever be they are just one of the biggest rock bands because there was nobody like them. Nobody. Just like Slayer. Slayer is still Slayer to this day. They never changed. Their albums from the first one you ever heard to the last one.
First time I saw Slayer, like 1987, right, with Megadeth and the Bad Brains at this little fucking club, man. It was so good. So good.
But that's what I'm saying. And I'm not mistaken. I think the guitarist that's with Metallica now, and Seth would know this too, and so you, Orion was the jam on Master of Puppets. Yes, Orion. It was the guitar player from the Suicidal Tendencies.
Oh, Suicidal is another amazing fucking band.
Yeah, dude. And for those of you who don't know, Ice Cube, Body Count did a remake of that song and changed the lyrics, and it was outstanding. Oh my God, the all I want is a Pepsi, Mom.
I was just going to say that, and you wouldn't give it to me.
You wouldn't give me a Pepsi. Are you on drugs? No, I'm not on drugs. Yeah. So, really good stuff. Really good stuff. And I think,
dude, it was
what's up, Chris?
Here, ST, I lose it. Like, I saw your mommy. Your mommy's dead.
Yeah, I was wearing a Suicidal Tendency shirt one time, and I wasn't thinking. I was at a Reptile show. I saw you. And it was a Suicidal Tendency shirt. It's got the guy with the hat flipped up because I've always been a fan of them.
Repo Man soundtrack's awesome.
Everything about Suicidal Tendencies is good. And what's up, Sean? And this guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I saw your mommy and your mommy's dead." And it didn't click for a second. And they looked at my shirt and I go, "Oh my God, man! Oh my God, yes, I'm so sorry." Because I was out of it, and he just came up and I saw your mommy and your mommy's dead. He said to me, and I'm thinking, "What are you talking about, bro?" And then when I realized, he goes, "Your shirt," I went, "Oh shit, Suicidal. That's right. I'm sorry." It was awesome. I probably looked like a poser.
It's funny when I picture the character Mike from Suicidal Tendencies. I think of Ricky. It's the first fucking thing.
Yeah,
all I wanted was a Pepsi, and you wouldn't give it to me.
Yeah, dude, that's so great.
Dude, yeah, that shit was great back then, dude. It just even fucking Anthrax, like early Anthrax.
Oh,
I'm the man caught in the mosh. I mean, that shit was fucking great.
Yep,
Misfits are one of my all-time favorite bands, bar none.
Absolutely. Because their style of music was so
grunge rock, man. They fucking invented it, more or less. It's funny. I was talking to Ruby. She's 12, and I was like, "What do you want for your birthday?" She's like, "How about a Misfits shirt?" I'm like, "Yes, my kid, man."
I remember when she was just a little tiny thing. Now she's 12.
Yeah, dude, she's gonna be 13 in July.
Oh my God!
Shit goes by so fucking fast. I've been here. When I moved here, she was 2.
She was little when you brought her over here. She was a little tyke when you brought her here.
Yep.
Little tyke.
Oh my gosh.
Lords of the New Church, Russian Roulette. Lords of the New Church. Does anybody remember the band Metal Church?
Metal Church was great, dude. Metal Church, like I love that old metal.
Badlands, bro. Badlands, I think was one of their awesome songs.
Badlands. Metal Church, fucking Witchfinder General, Pile Driver.
Yep.
Oh, it's all such good shit, man.
And there was also, Brittany, there was a band called Kix, Kix.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The song, I know they had Don't Close Your Eyes, which is very mainstream, but they have a song called She Dropped Me the Bomb, and it was badass, dude.
Kix, yeah. They kind of rode that fence between hair metal and not hair metal.
Right. Like
I
Bullet
saw them with
Boys.
somebody. I can't remember who they opened up for that I saw, but a lot of the opening bands were better than their big bands that I saw back in the day, like Y&T, Black and Blue, fucking.
I took my nephew to see one of the very last concerts for Slayer in Florida when they completely stopped, and it was Death Angel, Anthrax, all original band, Death Angel and Anthrax, and then Slayer. And I'll tell you what, that fucking place was. There was a time I went and saw that. It was probably 94. I went and saw Slayer, and they did this thing where they turn all the lights off in the arena, Jeff, and then the drummer starts just pounding the drums, and then all of a sudden red strobe lights were coming in like you were in all out hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be like, it was the song something let me think of the name, the Abyss, something the Abyss. And you hear them starting, and it would just freak you out. It was just done really well. It was just one of those really, really cool things that you just always remember.
I miss big shows like that, big epic shows. I think
you don't see that stuff anymore.
No, in '98, on New Year's Eve '98, I saw New Year's Evil. It was like original Black Sabbath lineup.
Wow.
Slayer. Goddamn, who was the band that did Nail Bomb, Fudge Tunnel, and Sepultura.
Oh my God, from Brazil. Those guys are amazing.
Right? Pantera.
Amazing.
And there was a couple
for a 90s band, they held their own.
Insane. Trying to think of who else
Pantera
was
came
there.
out in the 90s, but they held their own.
Oh, without a doubt. The early Pantera stuff is brutal. Good shit, man.
Cowboys from Hell.
Yep.
Good albums. Freeze. What did you say? Good stuff. Well, guys, it's 9 o'clock. We've had some fun tonight talking about some cool stuff. Yeah. The Dark from Metal Church is brutally badass. And that's I think Metal Church is great, Seth. Well, Seth and I, we used to jam out to a lot of shit back in the day.
Soulfly. That wasn't Sepultura, it was Max's other band, Soulfly.
Soulfly. I'll have to check that one out
Soulfly,
too.
Slayer, Pantera, Black Sabbath, Megadeth.
Good night, Sean. Everybody, I appreciate you coming out and touching base with us and jumping in again, and we'll just pick up on this again. We got some other stuff that I just think that was just a cool era. There's some cool stuff to talk about, but we'll get into some of those conspiracies.
Oh, King Diamond's another one.
What we saw. Oh yeah, he was another awesome one. We'll touch on some of those conspiracies and from those times, and we'll see who had what and.
I got a good one for next week.
Let's talk about it, Jeff, and then we'll lay it out.
Hell yeah!
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out to the Motley Croc Show. We'll see you next week. We absolutely love it, and we're glad that everybody came and commented. I really do love the support, everybody. And I really love that you guys come in and talk with us and hang. Thanks for doing our little computer screen counseling. It's you guys are my shrinks. Have a good night.
And this is where I air out all my bullshit from the week.
That's right, me too. And we love y'all, and we'll see you soon. Good night.